I'm 6 to 8 hours a day. This has been taking me for 7 months of court and paperwork. You know, I'm not saying I won't do this and I can't do this. It's just,
it isn't the
difficult.
easiest thing because, as you said, it's so in your face. But still, that's the work that has to be done. So let's do some of it here together where it will be easier for you to feel it. Now, what we're asking you to do is take an emotional journey. We're not asking you to imagine the courts to turn your way. We're not asking you to imagine that a truck runs over him and your problems are over. We're not.
But I enjoy those.
Although that did feel good, didn't it?
It feels so good. It feels so good. No, I'm sorry.
What we are asking you to do is to take an emotional journey. In other words, take the steps that you know you can. You're not going to hire a hit man, and you're not going to bribe the.
Just kidding.
You're not going to bribe the judge. There isn't anything like that in action.
I've thought about all the possibilities.
But you're not going to do any of those things. So it's going to happen in your vibration. So let's make some effort toward it. And the goal is to find a way of making the worst case scenario not feel so bad. So we're just going to listen while you do that. Because you see what you've been doing in your mind. You've been making the worst case scenario, and this is what the court system often does to you. You have to get all puffed up about what's wrong with what somebody else is doing. But in doing so, you weaken your own vibration. And so this is the perfect opportunity. We think that this family court system, as screwed up as you say that it is closer to what really is required in getting into vibrational alignment with what you want, because they do believe that they are doing what is in the best interest of the children. In other words, it is not so adversarial, you against you. It's more about what's the best thing that we can do for the whole in this. So if you're going to enter the court system, this is not the worst place to enter it. So now try to talk about this in a way that makes this worst case scenario a little more palatable to you. You pushed so hard against this for so long that that's the natural direction of your thoughts.
I've never dealt with a human being like this before. I have never had someone do things that seemed so evil. I don't know what else. There's probably a better word, and I'm not.
But even if all of that is true, you've got to find.
So I'm.
There are people around your world that consider George Bush to be the greatest source of evil that exists today. We didn't know you were all here. And there are people today that believe that he is their salvation from evil. In other words, they're not here today. What we're getting at is, when somebody wants something you don't want, it always feels like they're wrong. And we understand. In other words, we know what is done and we know how it is unfolding, and we know the motive behind it. What we're saying to you is, you've got to find a way to not feel like you feel, or things cannot get better for you. And this is the hardest challenge that we've ever asked of anyone. What we're saying is, you've got to take the way you feel, that you're absolutely justified in feeling, and you've got to find a way to feel differently, because you can't let what you want in as long as you feel the way you feel.
Okay.
I'm willing. That's the work, and that's what everybody's work is. This is just an exaggerated case of it, but it's easy. It's going to be easy for you to achieve this, you see. So go for it. Everyone's with you.
Okay. Oh, guys. Okay. Feel free to shout things out at any time for assistance.
Your goal is to take the thing that's wrenching your gut and make it not hurt so much. So your goal is to take the worst case scenario and make it livable. Try to get a breath of air around it.
That this man, I think, feels unworthy and unloved and is not focused. maybe I'm more focused and have a better sense of myself.
Pretty good. A little off the topic.
So that
You're not
I
quite
can be more
close enough.
compassionate to him.
You're
toward
making
him.
too big of a jump.
Okay, that's really true. You caught me.
Start with where it hurts and then try to find relief from there.
The thought that somebody could be so destructive to his own daughter and to me.
Okay, now that's right on what hurts, but it's still a little bit off the topic. Your fear, the thing that's tearing you up inside, is that this daughter that you love will have to spend time with someone that you don't think is good for her.
That's right.
That's where it's
Okay.
at. So what you've got to do is, this man, those were good words instead of this demon or this monster, this man is wanting to spend time with her, and it's possible that she may end up spending some time with him, and I've got to find a way of making that all right with me. I've got to find a way of taking this emotional journey. You're afraid that if you make that all right in your vibration,
That's
that you'll
exactly
help
what
him.
That's exactly
you'll
right.
help him.
That's exactly
but
right.
That isn't the way it works. When you make it all right in your vibration, you help you see. It's pushing against him that is helping him. So look at it from the broader view. Source energy adores you, knows what you want, is rooting for the well-being of your child, and everything that you say or do that makes you feel just a little bit better makes all of that more practically possible right here and now. So soothing you is what matters the most. That's why we keep saying it's an emotional journey. It's not trying to figure out how to make him go away. It's about how to make your pain go away. And when your pain goes away, the greater pain will go away.
That have a lucky life. It's not my
That's true, but
experience
it's
to be
off-
miserable.
It's off the subject. Stay focused on the subject.
Oh boy, this is really hard.
I want to soften my vibration so that my daughter doesn't hate her father. I want her to be able to see her mother is one person, her father is another person. I want her to realize that she has some options. I've never wanted to deprive her or him of their relationship. I think it's nice for her to know that she has a father. And I think it's even a little bit helpful for her to know that her father is seeking her, that her father wants to spend some time with her. The idea of them spending time together, while it is frightening to me, I'm going to try to figure out a way to make that not so frightening. I believe in the well-being of this child. This man has made it all of these years and hasn't managed to fall off a cliff or get run over by a truck. In other words, he is moving about in his time-space reality with relative safety, and there's no reason for me to expect that just because my daughter is with him that some terrible thing is going to happen to her. I do not want to be one of those mothers that when she's 15 is accused by her of separating her from her father. I want her to have the opportunity to know him. It's nice for her to begin to make choices. I don't want to be seen by her or him or by anyone as standing in the way of a relationship that is natural and maybe should be allowed to be. And I am trusting that if he is terrible, she will choose not to be with him. She will start putting a fuss up about it. And if she's not having fun when she's with him, he in time will not be asking for her so much. If he really wants to be with her, they will find a way of making it work. If it's really coming from his point of love, and if it's not coming from his point of love, the universe won't line it up in a way that it will be there anyway. You get a sense of what we were talking about?
What you just said felt the best.
You've got to soothe yourself, and the way you soothe yourself is you try this and you say nah, and you try this and you say nah, and you try this and you say not working at all, you try this and you say, now that felt pretty good. I think I'll beat that drum. So what was it we said that felt better to you? Amplify it. Now it's important. Don't dip backwards and don't try to step too far from it. Hit the point that you felt relief and see if you can stabilize on that point a little more.
That if his intention isn't pure and helpful to Kate, that the universe won't align it.
And if it is, then let this be. Let this father and child know each other, and let me be right there to support it. And let us have this unusual relationship, but let her know both of her parents, and let her have this splendid opportunity of getting to see the way different people live. Let her understand that there are different ways of going about. Let her be one who doesn't criticize and push against. Let her be one who can love two people who are different. Let her experience unconditional love. We think the most important thing that you've heard from us or felt from us here is when we say, you have been afraid to let yourself find relief because it feels like caving into his desires. And what we are saying is, when you find a way to understand yourself that you could live with it, you would not only survive, you can survive in joy. You could survive with her at her 10th year of life, of spending a day with him and a day with you. You could survive that. You could survive hearing her say, you know, I'm really not having so much fun, and so I asked Dad if it would be all right if I didn't come so often, and he said, yeah, whatever you want. I could survive, you say, him saying to me, I'm going to be out of town for about 6 weeks. Is it all right if Kate spends the whole time with you? And you say, oh yeah, I guess that would be all right. I'll see if I can work that into my schedule. This is the worst case scenario. She's going to have an opportunity to see two different approaches to life. The worst case scenario, she's going to be with him and maybe want to be with you, but she's going to discover some things about being there that are satisfying in some sort of other ways. We do not feel that he is danger to her. We feel that he is a different experience for her. But this one came forth under these circumstances, understanding that she did not want a feathered nest. You knew you were not going to marry that man. In other words, you never saw him as the father that would be present. You saw him as an opportunity to give birth to this child. And this energy would not have come forth under those conditions if she was not this free-spirited seeker of diversity and adventure, you see. This is an opportunity for her to fulfill what she intended as she made the decision to come forth into this physical experience. So, we do not think that he will replace you. We think that she will always prefer being with you. She would prefer being with you, or would she? Would she rather spend the day with you or go to school?
That actually depends. She likes school, and
she likes it a lot.
Yeah, she does.
And if you said,
she'd rather be with her friends now.
And if you said you have to choose one or the other, she'd be hard-pressed to choose, but you're not going to put her in that position. You would never say, you have to give up everything else and just be with me.
No, of course not.
And you really are not wanting to say that about this either. In other words, see him as one of the other small facets in her life with which she spends time. She spends time with you. She spends time with friends. She spends time with him. She spends time in her own thoughts. She spends time watching television. She spends time in her own dreams. She spends time imagining and remembering. In other words, there are so many things that she's spending time in, and he will just be one of those things. It's not the significant, life-changing, end-of-the-world sort of thing that you've been drumming it up to be. Not at all, you see. And when you feel that way, your vibration, your energy, what you radiate, you're tuned in, turned on, tapped in, back into the source energy, and there you are, this radiant mother, believing in the well-being of your child, not feeling threatened, not feeling vulnerable, and not doing those crazy things that crazy mothers drum themselves up to do when they're trying to protect their children in exaggerated ways. Good. Now stop for just a moment and let us throw something in here. You do feel better. Mm-hmm. You do feel better. Mm-hmm. In other words, this little chat, everyone feels better. In other words, you do feel better. Now, you've got a choice. You can beat the drum and continue to try to feel better and continue this emotional journey, or you can start making it an intellectual thing again and end up back over there in that place of frustration and worry. In other words, what you do next matters a great deal because you've made headway. Now what are you going to do with it?
No, I'm gonna keep it going.
Yes.
I better think really hard how I'm going to say this. I'll get yelled at. So in doing this will also help the feelings that my having to deal with the court.
Yes, it will go a long way in helping that. But here's the thing that we really want you to hear. You think that we had this exercise so that the court would go better or so you could get the outcome you want. You got to stop thinking that way. We had this chat because we wanted you to feel better now. And if that continues to be the only thing that matters to you, then it has to turn out in a way that will please you.